Hi everybody, this is episode 3, and I'm really glad because this time you get to meet somebody that went to acting school with me at the neighborhood playhouse. She was, of course, a year below me. However, she was very, very famous in the school. So now, ladies and gentlemen, this is Alix Elias.
Hello.
I have something that I want to talk about with Alix because it's so fascinating to me. And we were both speaking of this on the phone years ago when I went to, I won't say where it was, I was told by a person that I had no professional promise as an actress. And I came to New York City and went to the neighborhood playhouse, and from there I had professional promise as an actress. And about 3 or 4 years later, I was asked to give a speech to the senior class of the place that I left about what it was like to get a Broadway show directed by Harold Pinter, which was what I had. Now, Alix had a very interesting experience, and I'm going to turn it over to her because of the speech teacher at the neighborhood playhouse. So Alix, here you go.
Oh, well, you just can't take other people's opinions of what your potential is, especially as in the acting world. We had actually had a famous speech teacher. I think it was Mr. Williams.
That's right,
that
Mr.
right?
Williams, yes.
And I did quite well in his speech class and even brought in some original poetry that I'd written that he was very complimentary. After I was no longer at the school, he used to bring me up as a terrible example, and which was just a cheap laugh, I guess by that time I was well known enough so people knew that I had an interesting voice. But I have to say that although I may have lost jobs because of my voice, I've never gotten a job because of my voice. I've always gotten jobs because I was the best one, I guess. Whatever the strange casting, whatever that is, whatever that system is, which actors we don't really have a clue, but we try to cope as best we can.
All of us as an actor, we are a product, the whole thing.
Yes, true.
We're a voice,
yes.
We're a body, we're a look, and one of the things that I discovered about myself was in the old days when I had black hair and it's like the baddie always comes in with the black horse. I was considered ethnic. And so, as we said in the last episode, I was not P&G. And Alix, after she left school, was the first person that got the great job, even if she did have a voice that he was making a joke about. Weren't you immediately in Oh Dad, Poor Dad?
Yes, very, very soon after I graduated, I got an agent by a fluke, and they got me this audition for Oh Dad, Poor Dad. I had seen it, which was unusual because I never had enough money to go to the theater in those days, so I don't know, somebody must have taken me. And I really identified with that part, and I got it. And then there was a whole long thing where I had it, then I didn't have it. Then, the author fired me and hired some girl he wanted to go to bed with. And she was a disaster. And so anyway, I did end up, playing, I think it's Rosalie in Oh Dad, Poor Dad for quite a while. I did it off-Broadway, then we toured with it with Sam Waterston. I think it was his first job. And then we opened on Broadway, and then I did it in London.
Oh,
it had opened in London and had been a failure some years previous, and so we had Hermione Gingold at that time, who was very popular there, and we had a limited run, but it went very well.
Oh, I'm sure with Hermione Gingold in that part. Yeah. Oh my God, she would have been marvelous, absolutely.
She was great. I thought she was really good.
But I'm going to surprise you.
What?
I played that part
100
years ago in Summerstock, and I had an audition. It was on my resume.
Yeah.
And I had an audition for Jerome Robbins, and I went in, and he said, "You played Rosalie in Oh Dad, Poor Dad?" And I said, "Yes, I did." "You played Rosalie in Oh Dad, Poor Dad?" I said, "Yes, I did." He said, "You played," and I thought, what does he want from me?
He was a fiend.
He was. Did you work with him?
I worked with him once when they were putting me into the show. I was actually directed by the stage manager. He's a really nice guy. I forget his name now. And at some point they brought Jerome Robbins back. And, you know, he would pick on people that he thought were weak or helpless. People that were understudies, people playing small parts, you know, and I was quite young. And so he was just as nasty as could be. But I stood up to him.
Good. What did you say? What'd you do?
I just stood up to him. I wouldn't cry. And I just, when he saw that I was giving him resistance, he stopped it and he left. And
He left?
He left. I mean, he left soon after, like he didn't continue with, you know, going through every single, you know, line, I guess. I had already been playing it. Now that I think about it, I'd already been playing it for a week or two. And I had a really good grip on that part. I just had a sense of it. You know how you do sometimes? And so he wasn't able to intimidate me or make me cry, and I've always loathed him.
There were so many people
But
who
he
felt
was
that way.
neurotic, you know.
Very.
Some people loved him. Sandra Lee, crazy about it. She thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. So, but she was a dancer. And you know,
Exactly.
dancers are used to being treated really badly.
Absolutely. It's
They
just
need a
amazing
union.
because there was another person who told me about, oh God, now I can't remember. I remember we went to an audition and he was so terrible. And he said to a friend of mine who was understudying in Three Penny, she was understudying the woman in Three Penny, and he said to the lead, "You are almost as bad as your understudy." Now, what's the point in doing that?
It's just a cruelty, you know. I mean, Robbins was notorious.
Yes.
I mean, in the business for doing that, you know.
And it's just not necessary, you know, because what happens to a person's, you know, there knocks you away from what it is that you're trying to build up. You're trying to build
Exactly.
up. But I just want to ask another question because
Yeah.
this whole thing is that I'm trying to talk about is here's this wonderful actress, Alix Elias, who is a wonderful product, and she should be working too, like we all should be working. There should be more parts, as I keep saying over and over, written for very interesting, wonderful women. So you did. I want you to tell about your experience with All in the Family and then what you got in California.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've had a couple of near misses of really big jobs, and one of them was All in the Family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were going to shoot it here, and it was a remake of an English series that had been a big hit in England. And they had already cast Gene Stapleton and Carol Connor.
Yeah.
And so they were looking for the boy and the girl. And I didn't get a contract. This is what my agent told me, okay? I got it. I had auditioned a lot, you know, 5 or 6 times.
Ooh.
My agent told me that they cast me as the daughter that Sally Struthers played, and Jimmy Woods as the
That's the
husband.
most amazing thing, Jimmy Woods. I
And
can't
yeah, I mean, but that's what I was told. But they decided at the last minute that what they would do is they'd do it in California. And they didn't want to pay to bring all 4 of us out there. They just took the 2 main leads because it was, and they figured they could get the supporting characters in California cheaper, which was absolutely true. And because they would have had to pay not only just for our airfare, but they would have had to pay for housing and cars, and it would have, and at the time it wasn't a big hit. You know, it was just kind of a shot in the dark. But I was out in California. I started commuting sort of almost to California, doing a lot of television. I never worked for Norman Lear. And I thought, well, if I was good enough the first time,
why not get it?
I have no idea. I mean, I auditioned. At that point, he had like 2 or 3 shows running. He had, I can't think of any of
There are
them.
millions of
The
shows
millions
he
of them.
had running.
He had at least 3 or 4. But, you know, here I am. So that was one of the near misses.
But then she had a running role on.
Oh, well, eventually, I was doing a lot of one-shots on various sitcoms, and eventually I ended up with John Ritter on his series Hooperman.
What are you again, Harry? Libra?
Virgo.
Virgo. So be cautious in money matters and don't do anything reckless today.
Well, I appreciate the input.
I mean, that was kind of a semi-hit because what happened was we shot this terrific pilot, and then, what's his name? Steven, whatever his name.
Spielberg?
No, not Spielberg. I wish. No, the one who did Hooperman, and he also did,
I don't
you know, the police procedural, which was groundbreaking and all that. Anyway, he had a fight with his co-writer, which was so bad that he fired her, and we never had another head writer who, because he had another series which was a hit already, L.A. Law, I think it was.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And so we never got a head writer that could really connect with what we were trying to do, which was a dramedy. They wanted it to be both funny and serious at the same time. And they couldn't find somebody who could do that. Bochco. Bochco could do it. And the co-writer was a woman. And she had written my part. And she was the one who was really clued into this character.
You know that bimbo that Mr. Stern's been boinking? She's outside, in the squad room, in the lockup. She made her one phone call to him, and if you want to know what I think she's trash. Thank you for your time.
And I loved it, but we could never get that back because, you know, when you lose the creative people, the creative thinking, you know, it's really hard to replace that. So we lasted for, I think it was 2 years. And which was
pretty good time.
Not too bad. If we'd done 3 years, I would be set for life because then it gets, you know, that's when you start making the real money and it's revived in a better way and so on. But John Ritter wanted to be a movie star, so he didn't really want to stick with the series, and he was an executive producer or whatever it is. So he left to be a movie star, and that didn't quite work out. I mean, he made a couple of movies, but he never had the kind of celebrity and success that he'd had in television. It seemed like television was really his medium. And by that time, it was years later, so there was no point in reviving it. And I sort of everybody went on to other things.
Well, I also want to know, when did you marry Dick?
Oh, my husband, Richard Marshall. We were acquainted as children. I met him when I was actually 12.
Oh, it's so nice to see you.
Do you remember that song you used to sing to me? The happy song?
Oh, it's a happy day.
Yes.
The sun is shining. It's a lovely day. Happy, lovely day.
And our fathers were best friends in college. And that's how we met, because our fathers were both geologists. And then we both ended up in New York being actors. So I met him when I was going to acting school. He got in touch with me, and he was already doing small musicals. He was in Leave It to Jane and Little Mary Sunshine, and he did a whole string of these, had a wonderful singing voice. And we had a brief affair, which ended badly, unfortunately, and then I didn't see him for like 25 or 30 years, and then we ran into each other on in the Jefferson Market grocery store, and he came up behind me and pinched me, and I was furious. I was so mad, and I got out. I was shaking all over. I got out to the street, and I thought, wait a minute, Alex, what's the matter with you? Why are you so upset? So I thought, there's some unfinished business here. I should call him, and we should have a talk. So I went home, and I looked in the phone, and we had phone books in those days, or information. Anyway, he had the same phone number, which was a surprise. And the next day, I ran into him on the street, and I said to him, I was going to call you. Look, and I showed him in my book where I'd written his number, and he burst into tears, and
Really?
We were inseparable from then on. Although I was still going back and forth to California. I would go to California essentially for pilot season, which would be anywhere from 3 to 6 months, depending on what was going on. And so I started taking him with me, and he got some. He was a very castable type, a really good type. Older leading man type. And there's a lot more roles for older leading men than there are for older leading women.
That's what I'm trying to say all the time. It's so amazing.
You know, there are now more. So we got a couple little jobs, but then for health reasons, we ended up essentially relocating. I mean, I never gave up my New York apartment, thank God.
Because that's another thing that actors have, this situation where
they have to live out of town or something.
Well, you have to just pray. And the other thing is that when the pandemic happened and when the strike happened, we couldn't really do work. And now, for some reason, I mean, I've been auditioning recently, but not a lot. And it seems to have been quieter than it has been before. Don't you feel
Well, I just had a meeting with my agents, and that's exactly what they said. They said things are quieter. They said that they're now accepting auditions for roles that they wouldn't have, like, whatever. I can't figure out what's co-star and what is it? It's something where it's more prestigious to have one type of acting job on television than another. And but now they're doing better. And I said, look, you know, a lot of roles for older women these days are small. I'll take it.
Or they have,
Go ahead and submit me,
Right.
you know?
They have Alzheimer's, or they're part of
No, they have Alzheimer's.
or they're
and
dementia or something else
Yeah.
like that. I mean, I just, it's amazing. I'm going to be 84 years old, ladies and gentlemen, in case you want to put it in your book. On May 25th, you can give me a birthday party. Anyway, I am going to be 84 years old. I don't look like what we used to think 84 was all
Right.
about. We thought of 84 was like this.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm sent up for some things from, I guess, early 70s until 90 or 95 or whatever it is.
There are more women directing and writing, and I think that's a real help. I think that they use more women. I mean, I just got this little job on this. Did you hear about that?
No.
Okay, I got this job, right? I got this job on this film that was starring and produced by Amy Schumer.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So it wasn't in the script. They had an idea and they thought they would, this little scene, they hired 3 of us to be, quote, angry New Yorkers.
Of course.
So, I mean, why I got this role, I have no idea. I'm not even from New York. But fine, we'll give it a go. We show up. They don't have a costume for me. I mean, I don't want to go on and on. But there were a lot of things that just didn't seem right. And so I wore my own clothes, which they have to pay me for.
Yeah.
And there was no lines, but we were assured that they would write them for us. And then we got to the point where the scene was supposed to take place. And we were like way in the background. We were like background. And then they shot, and then it was like 6 days out of a 9-day period. They never shot my scene. I never was introduced to Amy Schumer or to the director, although a young man came up to me at one point and said, call them assholes. That was the only direction I got. So, just to explain without giving the plot away, which I know I'm not supposed to do, was a big stunt where there was a big crash, you know, with cars and stuff. And he wanted me to yell, you know, you stupid assholes. That's the line I came up with, you stupid assholes. And then I threw in, go back to New Jersey. I don't know whether they were from New Jersey, but I just said it. But I wasn't mic'd.
Oh,
So I think that I'm going to get paid for this job.
How many days were you there?
I was there over a 9-day period. I was there for 6 days. 6
Think of
days.
the check, my darling.
Well, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, they have to pay you if you were there and you had a call.
Yeah. I will get some money. I understand from the other 2 actors that were in the same position I was that they're kind of nickel and diming them to not pay them But my agents will take care of it. They're good at that kind of stuff.
Oh, I cannot believe
But,
this. This
I
is
mean-
crazy.
You know? I mean, like, now there is a woman who is producing it as well as starring in it. Maybe she came up with this idea. We'll never know since we never met her. But
I mean, this is so amazing. You know, we're in this
crazy
business
jobs.
and it's magical things happen to you and you think, what am I doing here? Certain directors think that they can just decide something and you have to do it or you go out. You don't get to rehearse enough. And
No.
how the costume was,
Yeah.
you had to roll across the stage in the wet.
mm,
And then you had to get up and run around, and I had never done that. And
Yeah.
it was but when you have a difficult person that you're dealing with, it's your problem as an actor to just smile, and if you need to be protected by something, you have unions.
yeah.
And that's
It's true.
exactly what I did. I went to the union instead of
Yeah.
saying, "Are you crazy?"
I got fired when I got fired by T. Edward Ham. When I got the Odette Poor Dad, which was a huge break for me, and I had already been in it, you know, but the author wanted to hire this girl that he had designs on. Let's say, that's my opinion. And so the producer, T. Edward Hamilton,
Yes, I remember him.
he called me into his office and he started to cry. And he said, you know, we're going to have to fire you, but, you know, I want you to stay on as understudy. And I went, I mean, I never had a chance to cry because he was already crying. And I was like 20, you know, I was like,
They get you when
dumbstruck. I didn't know what to do. So I kind of went.
and they
I
want
got-
you to come as understudy.
And they wanted me to understudy. And then the stage manager, this fabulous stage manager, came up to me and said, Alex, he said, just stick with it. He said, it's okay, just stick with it. And I did. And, you know, this girl couldn't really cut the mustard, and they fired her, and then they had, by that time, they'd gotten another understudy. I can't think of her name. I think her name was also Alex, but it was Alex. And anyway, ultimately, I did. Actually, I have to say, I really honestly think I was really good in that part. And then we went off on tour.
Yeah. Perfect for
It was a
you.
wonderful part.
Yeah.
Strange, but wonderful.
Yes.
So anyway, so, you know, this whole thing about getting fired or getting pressured to do something you don't want to do, and the actors, we just have so little power, you know, and you don't want to let your pride get in the way of your job. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I know people that have like left in high dudgeon and like, oh, I wouldn't do that, you know, and then you hear like they never work again, you know, but that's the fear.
But anyway, you just have to take your ego and stick it up your so and so.
This is true. Try not to be proud.
It's amazing because you know
Yeah.
I came from, as we all know, this whole thing about I came from this very famous musical family, and my grandmother was a diva, and she would never do anything she didn't want to do, but she got there by having to do things she didn't want to do. I mean,
Yeah.
her whole life was doing things she didn't want to do to get there. But I didn't know this part of it. I only saw the other part,
After she was successful.
after she was successful. So I had a lot to learn. And when I had my own theater, I said the theater is hard enough as it is. So if anybody gives me a problem in this theater, they're not going to stay, because all I want to have is a lovely time. And there was only one person who gave us a problem, which was a sound person, and she left. But the other people were great, you know? So, anyway.
Well, it's a tricky profession, you know, all the way around, but we're still in it. We're still going.
That's
so
right.
I think that's the important thing. I mean, I think actually, of all the successful people I know, they didn't give up. I mean, it's just a kind of grit will get you through. And
You have to do it. You just keep having to sometimes you're not positive. I mean, sometimes I'm not positive. Everybody hears me on the
Right.
phone being hysterical, and they say, oh, come on, Catherine, you know that's not true. I mean, my friends get so tired of listening to me. But I have finally said, don't do that anymore. If you had a child, you wouldn't treat your child the way you're treating yourself. It's just too horrible.
Well, you can't be terribly logical. The thing about creative fields is they're not logical. They have a different kind of reality, a different kind of... And the thing about acting is we need other people in order to do it. I mean, if you're painting or you're writing, you can lock yourself in a room and be your whole world, but we need to work with other people. And that's
another thing that I want to talk to you about, Alix, and I'm
What?
so impressed with her. Whenever there's a space, she has found something else and some other group of people to do something with, and it's so impressive. We used to go down to, what was that place?
Tuesdays at 9.
Is that what it's called?
I think that's what it's called. And they do readings of new plays by unknown playwrights.
That were there, people that were there.
They'd
And
show
Alix
up.
said, oh, you gotta come. Well, I had to come from 85th Street or something down to 8th Street.
It was a schlep.
It was a schlep, and finally I decided to stop schlepping because they would ask people that they wanted to have reading. I read one thing anyway, but it was fun for a while, but then you continued and then you did the...
Well, I've been there. I mean, I think it's important, and I think a lot of actors are doing this because I've been meeting other actors in these various, I've been going to casting director workshops, and I even went to a workshop where you meet managers, and I'm learning from other actors. And I think whatever you can find to keep going, you don't want to just if you're only working once a year, you don't want all the rest of the time not to be acting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in a group with a bunch of other actors, and we work out kind of like a gym, might call it, and I'm, what else am I doing?
Oh, you're doing...
I'm doing stand-up.
Yes, that's so marvelous.
Well, this was kind of an accident. Years ago, I took a course from Judy Carter, who's like one of the vintage, teachers. And because they were using a lot of actors on sitcoms who were comedians, that was very popular. And so I thought, well, I wanted to get on a sitcom. And I did get on a sitcom and dropped the whole, stand-up business. But then, this is such a weird story, I saw that my local senior center during the pandemic was offering a class in comedy, and I thought it was about writing comedy. And I thought, well, that might be handy. It turned out that it was about stand-up comedy, and there was
a senior
center, and with this really lovely comedian, Joe Firestone, who's now a head writer on a new game show in LA. And she got all these old people to get up and do stand-up comedy. And then she filmed it, and it got on the Peacock channel. So you tell me the chances of getting on a TV show, a national TV show, by signing up for a course at the senior center. And none of the other, my husband, myself, and one other guy was an actor. They're just people. I mean, one guy got up and took all his clothes off, and he had pasties and a G-string.
Oh my God. My wife left me recently. He's so naughty.
And another woman, Bibby, who's 92, got up and fell down, and we all were rushing down. But she got up. She finished her little spiel. I mean, bless her heart. So that's still, pieces of that are still going on. And in the process, I kind of revived some of my old material, and I won something. I went to a talent show, and I won.
Miss Congeniality.
I won the Congeniality Prize.
Give it up for Alix!
I got a Dunkin' Donuts card for $5, and I mean...
But look at this. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm performing. I'm
this is
performing
so
live.
important because her creative juices are
Yes.
being used.
Right.
And the thing that impresses me so much about Alix is that she is constantly working. Now, maybe not
For money.
for money, but she's constantly creating the best of herself. And this is what we have to do. We have to constantly get off of ourselves of, oh, I'm not working. What am I going to do? Why my agent hasn't called me? No, your agent hasn't called you. Write a one-person show.
Create work.
Create something. And I keep thinking I should really write a one-person show about the internet, because that I don't know if I should tell this story or not. But anyway, when I get to do that one-person show about the internet, because I mean, there's so many things where they suddenly say, you know, use your MP3
PDF.
What does that mean?
I don't know what it means.
Yes.
I get to that point, I just go like,
Peppy? Peppy!
hello.
What's up, Peppy? We have an audition and it says, use the PBF. What does that mean? Or anyway. We could go on and on about our not knowing anything.
Yeah.
I think I've told you this, but my dear friend who's 96 years old in Connecticut, and her husband died, and I started to call her every night. And turns out that she had to take care of all of the financial things and everything. And they said, just send it to us on the computer. She said, I don't have a computer. You don't have a computer?
That must have stunned them.
That stunned them. Well, with us, we have this wonderful experience. And also, you will be able to watch Alix very soon, because she's obviously going to be doing something. And if she does,
Hopefully.
if she does her stand-up, you should see it, because she's a riot.
I am going to be at the 53rd Street Broadway Comedy Club on June 1st.
Look at this!
Yes, and I think it's at 7:30 or 8. But if you call up and if you use Alix, ALIX, when you're making a reservation, you get $5 off the ticket. Now, I don't know exactly how much it costs, but and then you have to buy drinks too. So I must say that it's
Where is it again?
it's on West 53rd Street, right off of 8th Avenue. It's called the Broadway Comedy Club, and it's the downstairs room.
Oh.
I had actually performed in a trio with my husband in the upstairs room. We did a show called, which I
Bad
wrote,
for you.
called Bad For You, which was all sorts of great songs about things that are bad for you, like smoking and drinking and illicit sex and high cholesterol food. And
I saw that.
you did.
And I saw it at that place, I think.
Oh, you might have, yeah.
Yeah, I think I did.
I think
see-
you did. I think I remember, yes.
I was there. Yeah.
Right.
Now I know where it is. Oh, great. And
Oh,
they
yeah.
have it downstairs?
They have the big downstairs, which is where they generally do the comedy. The guy who owns the premises is actually a comedian. I mean, his whole, the musical stuff is just kind of an afterthought.
Mhm.
They also do stand-up in the upstairs room. But I'm going to be in the downstairs room with a bunch of other
With the
comedians.
stars. With the stars.
And we'll see what happens.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you will go see Alix Elias, and I'm so happy we had the opportunity of working with, having her here, because,
It's my pleasure.
I've known her for so long, and it is true.
yeah.
And all these people that I've been talking to, I've known for so long, and it's amazing what we have done. Amazing. And here we are,
Here we are.
happy to do more, if you like. So we'll see you on the 4th episode. Bye for now.
Bye.